Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I feel this movie is my nemesis.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Nemesis, which released in 1992, from writer Rebecca Charles and director Albert Pyun. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Olivier Gruner's character, Alex Rain. He is living in the future of 2027 and is an undercover LAPD cyborg cop. He is trying to uncover a group of terrorist cyborgs who are going around causing loads of mischief. But as Alex keeps getting betrayed left and right from everybody he knows, he starts to really question, is he the only human left, or are the cyborgs seriously just taking over?
You're not really human. Mostly machine. You're not really human. You're mostly machine. You're not really human. You're not really human anymore, are you? Or are you?
So this is from director Albert Pyun, who sadly passed away a couple years ago, who has been remembered as the maestro of direct-to-video, straight-to-DVD, schlock, B-movie, action, post-apocalyptic with cyborgs. It's kind of how he's going to be remembered. And he got his start back in the 80s with The Sword and the Sorcerer in 1982. He had other hits like Down Twisted in 87, Cyborg in 1989, Dollman in 1991, Ravenhawk in 1995, and a couple of like Kickboxer sequels and also Nemesis sequels as well.
Yeah.
I should also bring up as well, you might have noticed the writer's credit was an unknown, can't find this artist image. And after an hour of searching, I finally discovered that it's also Albert Pyun. They had to use a pseudonym because he also wrote all these movies as well. It's like, who in the world is this Rebecca Charles? I can't find you. You don't exist.
Wait, Albert Pyun called himself Rebecca Charles to get the writing credit.
The studio kind of made that happen, forced him to do it.
Right.
At the same time, Albert Pyun was also looking for financiers to make Nemesis, and when he turned up at Imperial Entertainment, they said, okay, we have a problem that your main character is a 13-year-old girl. So we want you to change the script, and we want you to put in Olivier Gruner as the lead.
Yeah.
Because we've just had him and worked with him on Angel Town.
Yeah.
So we think he's great, so he's going to be your lead. But if you do that, we won't interrupt your filmmaking process whatsoever. So Albert Pyun was like, yeah, no problem, done.
Yeah. I think that was a really, really bad decision. I think they went with the Gruner actor simply because they were trying to recapture Jean-Claude Van Damme like they had in Cyborg.
Sure.
Now, I mean, this might sound really bad, but I've never seen Cyborg. I've always wanted to because Jean-Claude Van Damme and it's supposedly got cyborgs in it. But in fairness, in my 40-odd years, like, it never comes up on a list of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. You know,
Just watch Universal Soldier instead.
Well, that's it. Universal Soldier, hell yeah. JCVD, hell yeah. Friggin', what's that one where he's being chased by Lance Henriksen? You know, where the hunting
Death?
one. Is it Sudden Death?
Something maybe?
There's Sudden Death, there's Sudden Impact, there's the one where he's the twins, there's the one where he's AWOL, but Cyborg never seems to come up on the list. I think Angelina Jolie was in Cyborg 2. But unfortunately, I picked this fucking movie.
Yes, you did.
I did.
And I kind of cheered when I saw the cast list.
Oh, yeah, like, so was I. You know, you've got Tim Thomerson playing Commissioner Farnsworth. You know, fucking Trancers, baby. The exploding ham. Who cannot forget the exploding fucking ham? You've got Cary Tagawa. You know, Shang Tsung. Fucking Tekken 2. You know, fucking just... He's a good actor when he's not in shit movies. You got Brian James, Blade Runner, who pulls off the worst German accent in this entire movie.
Yeah,
it's probably
absolutely right.
Best thing about this movie was his accent.
The Texia say it will take 6 to 12 hours to decode the scrambler Julian put in him.
We haven't got 6 hours. The hammerheads, they could have the data by then.
Yeah.
You got a naked Thomas Jane at one point.
He wasn't naked in the script, but when he realised that his co-star for that scene was naked, he was like, well, I'll be naked too. Which also caused a problem for the stunt doubles, who then also like, well, we gotta be naked as well. There's a whole bunch of naked people doing these stunts now.
I like Thomas Jane, but I don't know about seeing Thomas Jane's ass. You got Sven Thorson. You know, worked with Arnie in Conan the Barbarian. His character is called Cyborg. Because
That's appropriate.
He's a cyborg. Jackie Earl Haley turns up at one point.
Just before the closing credits.
Just before the credits. You're like, hey, it's Rorschach. You got Thomas Matthews from friggin' Tommy Jarvis, Return of the Living Dead Part 1 and Part 2. He's got a gun in his face. Like, I'm making it sound amazing.
You are.
You even have Yuji Okumoto, who plays Han. That's fucking Chosen from the Karate Kid movies. Why is this movie so shit with this lineup?
Well, it's a B movie. Like, it doesn't have a huge budget, and you might figure that out within 2 minutes of watching it.
When the airplane came through with the work orders, I had a strange feeling everything was about to change for me.
And you're like, okay, I clearly see the influence of Blade Runner. I mean, this one's set a few years after Blade Runner.
Yeah.
In the future of 2027. Oh shit, we're getting close, Ian.
We don't spend too long in 2027, by the way.
Oh. Well, what happens?
Well, first off, before I go into spoiling the entire movie for you, you saw the poster. The poster came up at the beginning of the review. It looks well exciting.
It does.
It's not.
It looks really cyberpunk and futuristic.
Yeah, those two characters on the poster, I don't even think are in the film.
Yeah, it's the main guy plus the assassin lady who turns up at the beginning and gets killed.
Okay, so you put a character on your poster with your main guy who's actually not involved in the story and dies 10 minutes later.
But she looks cool. And that is the philosophy of the making of this film, is that it looked cool.
Yeah. So the movie starts, like I said, in 2027 LA, and Alex Rain is this undercover.
You're just laughing at his name already.
Alex Rain, yeah.
I think there's a scene later on where somebody says cool fake name. I think it's when he's signing in.
Alex Rain.
Good fake name, yeah?
But he's an undercover LA cop, and he's hunting cyborgs in the future.
Because cyborgs are terrorists.
Yeah.
So, a la Blade Runner.
They actually don't give them a name. They don't give the group a name. They just call them terrorists. Which immediately was confusing to me, because I'm like, well, one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter.
Yeah.
So I would have rather have had like a name, a group of who they are, why they're there, what they're doing. We don't get any of that. What we get is Alex meeting some chick, some girl, and them going into this hotel room and making out, and her like grabbing his crotch to see if there's any weapons, because she doesn't trust him, and she appears really, really strong. And then he does pull out a gun and he blasts her.
Yeah.
Shoots her in the face, and you can easily just tell it's just a prosthetic effect, just like slapped at this woman's face.
I quite appreciate it. I wasn't expecting a full headpiece prosthetic, so I was like, okay, it's better than just a hole with some sparks or something.
I think I would have just gone with a hole and sparks myself, because the headpiece just looked... it didn't look like it had been melded very well to her face.
Sure.
It looked more like her face was swollen. But he finds some guns in her bags or stuff, and he walks out. Alex is just gone. He's done his job. He's killed this woman. And this other group of... You can also really tell who the cyborgs are in this movie, because they all wear sunglasses indoors.
Right. Or they're wearing Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah. And so Alex is walking down the hotel corridor, and he passes this group of people, and they go into the room, and they realize that their terrorist partner, friend, person has been killed, and they're like, hey, that guy we passed must be a cop. And so they chase after him. And I loved how... I say loved. I'll use love very loosely in this review. I love how it went from like a hotel building to the street, and then immediately he was in this industrial wasteland.
Right. I'm guessing that was what the entire city was supposed to be like. Like a Blade Runner wasteland.
I don't know.
But, yeah.
I think they needed a place to have this shootout, and they couldn't do it in a city or in a building, so they were like, Hey, what's that over there? It's a shitty abandoned wasteland warehouse place. Well, let's use that. It looks futuristic. It doesn't. And it's, oh man, like, you'd think a shootout would be cool.
It is, because it was loud and there was explosions and debris and dust flying everywhere. But then when you look at it, you're like, they're about 3 meters apart and they can't hit shit.
I gotta give it to the woman in the green kind of miniskirt dress thing.
Yeah.
Because she worked her scene very well in this, where she's clambering over stuff and she's trying to shoot her gun, all in this green miniskirt. And I'm like, you couldn't just let her wear trousers to do her stunts or anything. But I'm assuming the stunt double they had didn't have a green miniskirt, so they had to work it out. But it's a really terrible shootout sequence where he kills a couple of people and then Alex ends up running into this warehouse. Or he jumps off that building, doesn't he? And he slides down the pole while being shot at by the cyborgs. And he runs into this building and I don't know how far they are. They're firing shotguns. But they must be futuristic shotguns because they're firing explosive rounds.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
The weapons, like the caliber of firearm, like with the same weapon, varies throughout the entire film. It's as explosive or less explosive as the script needs it for that scene.
But Alex is running.
Oh yeah, there's lots of running and explosions going on. That's what I mean. It looks great. Like, it's never boring on screen.
It is. It's like he's being fooled by explosions. It was. Because I'm waiting for Alex to do something. He's a cyborg. He's 84.7% cybernetic. Nope. Nothing. Doesn't run fast, doesn't jump far, doesn't hit hard, doesn't have, targeting in his eyes or anything that he can just pull off shots or anything. It's just, Olivier Gruner running around trying to look cool, because like Cary said, it's the philosophy of this movie. Just make it look cool, okay? And we'll cut to the next shot. And he runs into this fucking building and he comes across a puppy.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm like, pre-John Wick.
Right? And he takes it under his coat and he's shuffling across the floor, taking all these bullets.
Yeah, because the two girls are outside the building, God knows how far. They haven't moved from the spot that they were shooting at when he was running. But they are shooting into the building. So that's why he's got to take cover. And then one of them pulls out like a rocket and sticks it in her shotgun and fires it. And it goes into the building and causes a massive, huge explosion.
Awesome.
Now, unfortunately, Alex does kill the girl in the green miniskirt, but the other girl with the sunglasses, she walks up and he's taken a load of damage. He's on the floor. He's injured. Really bad special effects, really. Just that little metal kind of Terminator leg thing that they had going. I was like, where'd you steal that fucking design from? But she starts kind of belittling him and giving him grief, like, are you even human? What are you anymore? You're killing your own kind. I'm like, I don't care. I fucking don't care. I don't care. 10 minutes into the movie, that's bad. It then jumps 6 months later, and we get this narration from Alex, and we get a lot of narration from him throughout the movie.
It's really badly done.
He doesn't make you care enough for what he's talking about, so everything that you've just seen or you're about to see, you really just don't care. But he saved the puppy.
Yes.
And 6 months later, that puppy has grown into his own dog, his own wolfhound. He's got this pet. And they're running up these sand dunes, and Alex is explaining about how the LAPD put him back together and they fixed him up and he's training. Oh, he looks so hard. And then he goes walking into a bar, doesn't he, in some rundown town somewhere. I don't know. It's certainly not fucking LA. It's like Mexico. And he asks for some beer, and it turns out that the girl, or the woman owning the bar, is the woman that was shooting at him at the beginning of the movie. And so they have this tiny little shootout where he kills a guy and then he shoots this girl.
Yeah. And so then he's just kind of sat there, and then in walk two more ladies, whether they're cyborgs or not, we're not sure at this moment.
Yeah.
But one of them's his girlfriend, Jared, which you don't quite know that yet. No. And the other one is Sam.
Yeah.
And
it's a bit excessive.
Right, yeah. and they literally, I mean, the plot in this film it was it didn't make much sense, and it
No.
was really easy to lose the threads of who was who and who
Yeah.
worked for who,
Yeah.
because you've got the government, you got the police,
Yeah.
you've got the terrorists and the cyborgs, but
Yeah.
then you've also got the cyborgs that are fighting for the humans against the government
others
and the other
other
cyborgs,
yeah.
which we find out that the government has basically got a Skynet program and is replacing humans with cyborgs.
Well, is it the government or was it the cyborgs that were doing that Skynet programming thing?
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Because the two girls stand there and they're saying to Alex, like, yeah, you got to go back to the LAPD. You know, they want you back, but we want you to work for us. So why don't you do that? And the actor playing Alex just can't emote for fucking his life.
I mean, there's a reason why, and it's because he's losing his humanity, or there's scenes where he has like these philosophical moments. He just says stuff, but then the film goes, right, carry on.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Let's get to the next
explored in
explosion.
any way.
No.
But it would be a reason why his acting is so stoic or so wooden or awful.
I'm sorry as well, but I went through Blade Runner. I've seen good acting when you're questioning if somebody is human or not human. Harrison Ford did it incredibly well.
The cyborgs in this are supposed to be indistinguishable from humans, so actually it's not an excuse for terrible acting.
Yeah, no. What makes it worse, what makes the sequence worse, is that Alex turns them down and says, nope, I don't want to get involved in this. I'm going. And he walks away. And he leaves his dog there. And Sam, the female cyborg girl, just walks up, goes to pet it, and it bites her fingers. And so she shoots it. Alex is halfway across the street at this point. He's not giving a fuck. He's not turning around. He's not coming back and kicking off. He's not doing a John Wick.
And
No.
that is the moment I immediately lose any kind of connection
Yeah.
or sympathy or relation with this character whatsoever. I'm like,
I was
asshole.
like, what was the point in saving that puppy and having
this montage of them running together.
It honestly felt like, as we go through
it
this
looked cool.
review, yeah, because it looked cool. It honestly felt like they kept trying different ideas and then they fucked it up, and then they kept going back and re-editing and moving stuff around. So like, it feels like this bar sequence was possibly recorded and filmed like at the end of the movie, and they realized, oh, we best put something to explain these two girls or whatnot, because at this point, Alex goes, I'm not working for the LAPD anymore. I'm going to be a smuggler. And I'm going to get a really terrible wig. And he goes back.
Kept thinking hot shots.
Yeah. He's in LA, or he's in some set that's supposed to look like some cityscape. And he meets up with Marion, played by Thomas Matthews, you know, Tommy Jarvis. And Marion basically says, like, oh, you know, you're working for the LAPD again. And he's like, no, I'm not, I'm smuggling. And it's just like, oh, really? And then his face opens and he shoots Alex with a gun in his face. Turns out Marion's a cyborg. Who knew that?
I think everyone in this film is
Everyone's
a
a fucking
cyborg.
cyborg. And so Alex is injured again and then has to go through some repair and some rehab to then be released from his prison cell by Tim Thomerson and Brian James doing a really terrible German accent. And it's like jumped another 6 months.
Right.
So you started in 2027. He then got injured. There was 6 months. Then he ends up getting injured again. There's another 6 months. And I'm like, so now we're in 2028. But the movie
Maybe.
yeah, but the movie doesn't tell me this.
No.
I'm just making this shit up as I'm going to make my own fucking brain work with this fucking movie. Because the whole prison sequence, the whole prison sequence where he comes out and they're questioning him, it felt like a Metal Gear Solid ripoff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, we've got this mission for you. Only you can do it.
This is the Escape from New York setup where they're like, here, we're going to put an explosive in your chest. You got 3 days to get in there and rescue the president. I mean, get in there and get the information back that was stolen by your ex-girlfriend, Jared.
Yeah. And if you don't, we'll detonate the bomb in your heart. It's like, so why should I do it?
Because bomb's going.
He doesn't care. He
doesn't
know.
know.
He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care for his dog. He doesn't care for his ex-girlfriend. He doesn't care for the human race.
But he is ever so slightly intrigued or curious about the cyborgs and how they might be taking over the world.
I fucking hope so.
So that's where he leads him to go and investigate further. Whether he wants to go and do the job or not is irrelevant because he ends up just being pushed that way anyway.
He gets to this stupid ass town and he's got to meet up with his contact in the town. And it's like he's walking to the hotel. Thomas Jane is looking out of his window and he can see that. It's a really terrible edit where you got Thomas Jane and this naked chick in this hotel room. And Thomas Jane has been helping this girl to get certain information. But she realizes that actually he must be a cop because that's why everybody else gets brought down. But this guy's...
Is this the sequence where he's just walking down the sideway and he just keeps punching one person, kicking another person, smacking another one?
The fight sequence where it's just like, oh, it's the immigration people. And then it's a terrible fight sequence. They all fall on the floor, wooden like fuck. None of them can emote or look like they've been injured. And then 2 seconds later, Brian James comes along, kind of clicks his fingers. They all just get up and disappear. And he just goes, like it was his whole entire plan to try to get Alex beaten up so that people didn't think he was an undercover cop. After that fight sequence, you'd have to be a complete fucking idiot to think he wasn't a cop because it was so fake.
Good.
Well, hooray for boobs!
Oh, yeah. There's some boobs. Briefly.
Very briefly.
She kills Thomas Jane.
Yeah.
Because obviously he was, evil and working for the LAPD. And you've got... Well, Alex goes into the hotel, doesn't he? And he meets Chosen.
That's right,
at the reception. And so Chosen calls up Shang Tsung and basically says to him, like, you need to come over and check this person out. So Shang Tsung comes over with his goons.
That's right, yeah. All wearing these Hawaiian shirts. Now, apparently those guys were like the teamsters and the drivers for the crew for the film. And they were just like, we need some flunkies. In you come, in the film. Stand there, look menacing, right?
Man, this sequence was so bad. I didn't think this film could get worse. And it just kept getting worse. So like this sequence where Cary walks in and he's fucking talking to Alex. And, they've all got him at gunpoint. And they're all obviously questioning him about what's going on. And the moment he reveals he's got a bomb in his chest, Cary just turns around and goes, I'm out!
Yep, ain't messing with that.
He just walks off! He just goes!
And I think I'd be pretty similar too. I'm like, okay, you know what?
What was the point of going there?
Because he wanted to see if he was a potential ally or a potential enemy. Because he's on the side of the cyborgs fighting to stop cyborgs. We don't know that yet, but he is. And he wanted to find out whether Max Rain was a good or a bad cyborg because he was sent by the evil company, the police.
It was so bad.
Because, we don't know this yet as well, but we might as well just say it now, that Tim Thomerson's Commissioner Farnsworth has been replaced by a cyborg.
Spoilers!
So he's the main bad guy, so...
It really doesn't make much difference if we tell you now or
I'm just trying to say it now as well to get it straight in my head so I can go, right,
yeah, we have to. Because we're following Alex trying to get this information, and he immediately after fucking Angie Liv, Cary's character has left, Alex is immediately attacked again by the guy that's been working with Julian, I believe her name was, the girl who was having sex with Thomas Jane. And they have a really shitty fight sequence to the point where he ends up, Alex ends up killing this cyborg, and he comes across Julian naked. And she reveals the plot to him. Finally, fucking some kind of anchor in the fucking story, where she hands him this electronic device and explains to him that it's got his ex-girlfriend's mind stored on it. And this is what the police and the government are trying to get, because she holds the information revealing that the cyborgs are secretly replacing people around with their own cyborgs. So Farnsworth, Commissioner Farnsworth, who had, set Alex up on the mission, is actually Sam, who we had seen shoot the dog. It makes no fucking difference. It's not relevant. Nobody fucking gives a shit. It's just part of the plot that you might go,
It's just a really loose thread to have
Loose.
loads of action sequences and explosions and gunfights and chases.
Yeah, because like we've just gone like 45 minutes of the movie and it was boring as fuck.
So we need lots of gunfire.
And so now we need 45
and there's
minutes.
this sequence where those two guys come in and they've literally got like smart guns from Aliens, you know?
It's just few fucking huge fucking infantry fucking cannons.
And those two guys, they blast her. I mean, she's halfway up the wall. She's taking so many shots, but she's shooting them as well. There's exploders, gunfire and shrapnel everywhere, and all three of them just collapse down and die afterwards.
Yeah.
But she's not dead.
No.
I do like that where you just see the top half of her torso just crawling away. She's got bits and pieces falling out of her.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And Tim Thomerson comes in at this point and is questioning her and she doesn't want to tell him. So he stabs her in the eyes with his fingers and kind of blinds her.
Yeah. I did also like the shot earlier where she had to remove the tracker from his face and we get this like Total Recall type effect where she puts the suction thing in his eye and pulls it out.
Pulled the eye
does the thing.
out,
I was like,
yeah.
the prosthetic head and the effect. I was like that.
That was pretty cool. It's a shame that was it.
Well, I mean, there's a really cool action piece coming up here where Alex Rain, the building is surrounded, he's outgunned, he's outnumbered. What does he do? Shoot the floor. And he shoots a circle in the floor.
God,
And down
I totally
he goes.
forgot.
But he doesn't just fall one floor, he goes down the second floor, he keeps shooting.
Fucking
down
just
again.
keep shooting. I gotta admit, I thought that was pretty fucking cool.
That was cool.
Because I hadn't seen anything like that ever.
Well, there's
It's like-
Underworld where Selena does the shot thing, but
She only does it once
Yeah, I
and then
know.
falls through.
But
He literally does it.
But I was like, considering he's a cyborg, I can forgive the fact that he would sink further down because of how heavy the mechanical parts should be.
Yeah, I got it. But I thought it was cool. He went through like 7 floors.
Yeah, the shot looking up
all
like,
the way down. Yeah. And it was the whole time he was screaming as well, like, "Ah!"
that was a great moment. That was good.
So we also meet up with Angie Liv, Carrie's characters, kind of help her. Max, who's this girl who kind of kept showing up in sequences before the shoot out
She
through
just
the floor.
pops up out of frame
Yeah.
and gone again.
And you're like, who was that?
That's just
Why was there
an
focus?
extra that really wanted to be in the film.
And she wants to help Alex, so she hooks up with him and she wants to take him somewhere safe, but he doesn't trust her. And so he pulls a gun on her and starts to question her and check her out. And so she then kind of knocks
She's
him
got
out
a little
with
laser thing in her
necklace. Laser shoot out of her necklace and knock Alex
I was
out.
like, almost all the technology in this film has been big and bulky. Like all the guns just got extra things slapped on them. Yet she's got this tiny little necklace
little
laser
necklace.
thing.
And it lasers him and it knocks him out. And so she then takes him to fucking Angie Liv's kind of secret hideout so that they can
Team
talk
up.
to team up and stuff. It doesn't last because Tim Thomerson turns up with his group of cyborgs and they start blasting the fucking whole place. Fucking, you know, like I said, that guy that's been working with Arnie, he had a hell of a death sequence.
Is he the one who jumps on the grenade thing?
No, that's one of fucking Carrie's guys who jumps on the missile. No. Sven meets an old lady in the street.
Yes!
And he's giving the old lady shit. And he turns his back. And Alex is watching this. Alex is like, oh. And he turns his back and the old lady pulls out a gun and shoots him in the back like 6 times.
That was brilliant.
Was she a cyborg?
No, because she's an old lady. She's fighting for human rights. Goddamn cyborgs can't an old lady cross the road anymore.
That cyborg was so shit if an old lady can shoot him in the back.
But you do see the remains of him, like his jaw's missing, his eyes, like...
Man, there was that sequence, it was so bad, where I think it was after Angie Liv, Carrie's character had been killed and they were being attacked by the cyborgs, that fucking Alex is running up to some windows.
Oh, God. Is this where Max, like, is passed out and he picks her up?
No. This is the part where he runs up to the window and he's shooting behind him at something, and he leaps out the window and lands on this cargo container, and he turns around, and as he turns to put his guns up in the air, 3 cyborgs leap out the exact windows that he's done, shooting down at him, and they're such bad shots, he's able to shoot them all and fuck off.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
It felt very John Woo, you know, dual wielding. It was like, bah, 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 bah,
Don't
bah,
you
bah, bah.
dare bring John Woo's fucking name into this fucking pile of
I'm
shit.
saying you can't help but feel his influence on this filmmaker. But yeah, like, it's just endless chases and being chased and shooting and running and shooting and fighting and punching and running and jumping
And
through
it's not
windows.
even very good. We want to say it was good. It wasn't good. It was just set piece after set piece. Oh, we got to try to make this look cool. You know, Tim Thomerson has killed Carrie's character, and Brian James gets blown up by a grenade.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you quickly see the quick change between the industrial warehouse set that they had set up for all their shootouts to then the jungle setup
and
on
then
the
they
island.
end up on just like this volcanic, like, wasteland with
Yeah, but-
no life at all.
But man, we got to go swimming first, haven't we?
Yeah.
There's some swimming sections as well where
There's a bit I wanted because I thought you mentioned it earlier, but
Yeah,
a
yeah.
different window bit where Alex and Max Impact
Yeah.
are running, but Max like faints at some point. She gets passed out.
Yeah, get knocked out.
So
yeah.
Alex picks her up over his shoulder and he's running with her, and he gets to this window and he's like, "Oh, what do I do?" And he just jumps through her first. I'm just like, they land in the bush. He ends up grabbing onto this.
Man, I think that bit where he rolled, I watched it because I watched this film twice just so I didn't miss anything. I didn't want to be called a fucking cunt in the
super
comments.
fan.
I didn't want to hate this movie, but I needed reasons to hate this movie. But I watched that sequence where he jumps with Max, and they haven't got money for stunt doubles or mannequins or whatnot, and so you watch him jump with her, and she ends up hitting the floor, and he rolls over.
Yeah, I know. It's like, ouch.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
When she comes to about 5 minutes later, she's like, "What the hell's happened?" Like, that's like the audience, like, "Yeah, we don't know either. We watched it."
What's going on, brother?
Nothing, Max, nothing.
Yeah,
So-
he gets that waterfall sequence,
Yeah.
and this for me was the greatest moment in the entire film, because I'm like, okay, they're just gonna jump in the water and they're gonna get away from him, but you just don't ever expect this to happen. Like, he does like a backflip somersault in the air.
Yeah.
Like, somehow he ends up in the air, not like just free fall right away.
Yeah.
And he still manages to fire off what I can only imagine is a grenade.
Yeah,
Because Sam Farnsworth just freaking explodes.
yeah.
I was like, did he hit him in the weak spot?
And you're like, holy fuck, they've blown him up. He's got to be dead, right?
But this is inspired by Terminator, Ian, and you gotta have, you know, the rise.
I didn't get this whole end bit because, like I said, they've gone from jungle to river to waterfalls to now running across this volcano. I mean, it looked cool, but I didn't understand why it was there. And then they were in a cave, and fucking Chosen is in a jet.
Right? I was lucky he was there.
Yeah. And Max is just like, yeah, we'll get on board. And Chosen goes, there's only enough space for her. You have to get in the back. And so Alex is like, okay. So he climbs into the fucking storage compartment, and as they're taking off, Farnsworth's cybernetic cyborg body that was underneath the skin, who's secretly Sam as well, attacks the jet and starts punching its way through.
This is, I will say, this is a combination of okay and the most awful effects in the film, especially watching this Terminator jump, grab hold of the plane as it's flying, and watching this superimposed plane flying away. I was like, oh, that looked horrible then. It looks horrendous now.
It's superimposed and stop motion fucking figures.
Yeah, but I adore stop motion effects. I always have, always will do. And so watching him wrestle with this Terminator in stop motion, I was like, I know it's cheap. I know it's low budget, but man, did they try, and they put it on screen and it doesn't quite work, but I applaud the effort here. It was fun, and it doesn't last very long.
No.
And Alex is wrestling with him. He's punching him.
Yeah.
Terminator falls down. I'm calling it Terminator, 'cause it pretty much is. And he gets back up, and he ends up falling through, but he grabs hold of Alex, and he scrapes the top of his head off as
Yeah.
the two of them are hanging out.
Scalps him, yeah.
Scalps him, and then Worthington's holding onto his arm as he falls. He falls into a volcano. I mean, it's not active.
No.
But he falls into a volcano. I'm like, that's how you kill a bad guy.
Dude, he doesn't fall into it.
No, he explodes
falls and then
halfway
he
down.
explodes
I know.
before.
I was like, oh, that's fine. He's definitely dead now.
It wasn't
definitely
fun.
won't be back in the third Nemesis movie.
It was such a bad fucking... And what makes it worse is the movie's not over. Alex has decided that after all these horrible things has happened to him, he's now going to go and kill this LAPD cop that he'd had a bit of an issue with when he was
Right,
being
at the
released
start.
from his cell. And so he has to kill this guy for reasons.
Closure.
Oh, well, we totally... I also forgot as well, they had that fight sequence with Marion, didn't he? Mr. Gun for a face.
Oh yeah,
And he
yeah.
ends
When
up
they
getting his
slide down that
down,
cement slide
the
thing.
cement slide.
His eyepiece opens up and he crashes
he
right
crashes
in.
his head into a thing. It was so shit.
Oh, it
and
was
so
great.
Alex kills this cop on top of the roof of the LAPD, I'm assuming, and because he's been upgraded and he's got the contact lenses, and so now he's 99% cyborg. I don't fucking care, because the movie ends now with Alex sitting in the rain, wearing sunglasses, because it's a sunny day as well as raining at the same time.
That man's a cyborg. He's got to wear them now.
Yeah, and he's reading a letter written by Tim Thomerson, Farnsworth's character, explaining to Alex that the next time you might see me, I may not be who I am, because I feel that there's something nefarious
I've
going
only been
on
received this letter 2 days ago.
with some cyborgs. I really hope that you did well and that you're able to complete your mission. Know that I loved you always, Alex. You were a buddy. Thanks, bye. I paraphrased. I don't believe he actually said all that. And then he walks off with Max at the end.
Yeah, we've got a world to save.
And they don't, actually.
No, because neither of these will return for the subsequent sequels. Because we had
3.
Nemesis 2, which released in 1995, set 73 years later. That's one way to get rid of all the cast. It's like, none of them are coming back.
Well, I mean, they just replace Alex with a 1.
Well, that was in the original
As
script.
in the original
Yeah, yeah.
script, yeah.
And then there was a third one and a fourth one, and by all accounts, they're not very good.
No!
Well, if you thought this was bad, Ian, don't watch them because you might have an accident of some kind.
Fucking yeah, I'm sure I could have an accident. Man, this film was so fucking bad, I wanted to watch Subspecies.
Yeah, what?
I did. I fucking... At least Subspecies had Angus Scrimm in it.
Yeah.
You know, and the stop motion effects with the demons in Subspecies were actually better than the stop motion effects in this movie. It actually had Subspecies had a plot.
Well, this one did too, but it just didn't matter.
It didn't matter, yeah. Like I would have so loved to have just seen that vampire just walk around slowly, because I was waiting for Alex to do something and he didn't. Or when he did stuff, I didn't care.
Well, was there any memorable or favourite scenes, Ian?
The old lady
Yeah.
shooting Sven in the back was pretty funny, because I just didn't expect it. I'd been seeing all these cyborgs doing all this fucked up shit all the way through, and then this old lady turns up and just shoots one in the back, and I was like, well, that was easy. What's the threat in this movie? Honestly. I did like that bit where the cyborgs did turn up to attack Julian and Alex, and so they open up the little hotel hatch and Chosen is there and all these guns and he's like, oh. Think that's it.
Oh.
I'm honestly trying to, because like I said, I watched this movie twice, so it's not like I can fucking remember it.
Well,
but there's just nothing entertaining.
I got a fair amount of good laughs from this film. So yeah, there's a few favourite scenes.
I'm gonna have a nap.
There's a sequence where he's like, this is like one of the many bad one-liners in the film,
Yeah.
where he's swinging down on a rope and he picks the thing up out of his hand and he swings right past and he just says, thanks for that. It's like, what?
He Tarzan out of
he
nowhere.
Tarzans a lot in this film.
Out of nowhere. Like how he was able to get the right kind of length rope with
Yeah.
the right distance and swinging speed to just grab this thing as they were stood
Yeah.
there with it.
There's a sequence where one of the female cyborgs is dying. She's laying on the ground and she's just like, I'll be back. And, and he just says, I don't think so. Just kills her. It's like, I don't know why I found this so funny, but I did. I really did.
Because there was nothing else to enjoy in the movie. So you had to find it funny.
I enjoyed all of it. I really did. Like, of course, the granny killing that cyborg, shooting him in the back, and then walking off. Brilliant. The scene where he backflips off the side of the waterfall and blows him up. brilliant. The stop motion effects in the end, really like that. Shooting through the floor and dropping multiple floors, I quite like that as well. I liked all the guns, I liked all of the lasers and attachments and bits that were added onto it. It was like, they can't make it look too futuristic or sci-fi, so just make it look cool. And they did. Bearing that, I'll also say the eye surgery thing, removing the chip.
Yeah.
And the sequence where the two guys come in and shoot at her, and she shoots at them, and they just all fall over. Oh, and Naked Lady too. Ian, I think we all know the answer to this one.
I am not recommending Nemesis from 1992. I was lured into this movie by what appeared to be a really cool, excellent poster. I'd seen this poster a number of times in my local video shop and thought, man, I really want to watch that, and never did. And now I understand why. I understand why nobody owns this movie on DVD. I understand now why this movie has not got a Blu-ray release. I understand now why it's not being put into 4K or remastered or remade or had other sequels put towards it. I totally get it. This movie is shit. And I know some of you are probably sitting there thinking, oh, Ian, you're a bit harsh. You should watch your language. No. I know shit. I've sat through Venom. Not the Tom Hardy one. The one with the hand puppet. I sat through Leeches. I sat through Halloween Ends. I've sat through 2, almost 3 of the Terrifier movies. I've watched some fucking crap in my fucking time. And I know where that bar goes. And it goes way down here. You see how my hand disappeared from the camera? It's still going down. You see how my arm's straightening? You see how it's still going? You see how my head's kind of tilting because my arm's still going? That's where Nemesis is. Fucking do it.
I'm going in.
Go on, Ann!
I had a blast watching this film, and so I'm definitely going to be giving this a very low.
Look what, low? How low, Gary? How low?
Here.
Well, that's not low.
Because I was entertained. I laughed. And an hour and a half just went zoop, gone. So yes, I will give this a very low, but still a recommendation. As it's over the top. The action scenes, the ambitious practical effects, they deserve to be seen. Even if you can look past the convoluted mess of a plot and incredibly wonky acting, you might have some fun with this one. Olivier Gruner as the lead, he wasn't the worst actor here, but he isn't very likable. He lacks any charisma, and he often feels like he's a parody. That said, his character becomes more cyborg, but it doesn't make the character any more engaging. It was fun to see Tim Thomerson hamming it up alongside Brian James, who has, for some reason, a terrible German accent, while a young naked Thomas Jane gets beat up by a naked cyborg terrorist. Not forgetting Tom Matthews and Jackie Earle Haley, who slightly elevate the material. The music was standard, forgettable, generic fare, but the action scenes were shot with flair and style, with explosions and breaking glass and giant guns with sparks flying everywhere. It was a lot of fun. It was stupid, but fun, and it never got boring for me. Whether you're enjoying the gunfights or the bad one-liners or the lackluster cyberpunk sets, this delivers everything it possibly could with what they had, with a low budget. And that for me made this, ever so slightly, worth a watch. In the future, it pays to be more than human. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.